At this time, I will call roll. When your name is called, please answer with here or present. Ramon Garza, President.
Present.
Jeff Miller, Vice President. Adrian Stevens, Secretary. Trustees, Wilford J. Broussard Jr.
Present.
Wanda Heath Johnson. Noe Esparza.
You're muted, Noe.
Here.
Norma Hernandez.
Present.
Also joining us through video conference and will respond with here or present are Sharonda Johnson, Executive Director for School and Community Relations.
Here.
Christian Thompson, Coordinator for School and Community Relations. Anna Salinas, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent's Office.
Here.
Anna Laura, Director of Early Head Start.
Here.
Elizabeth Layler, Deputy Superintendent for Educational Support and School Administration.
Here.
And various cabinet members. The following participants will be located in the boardroom at 14705 Wood Forest Boulevard, Houston, Texas, 77015. Please answer with here or present when your name is called. Brian Clements, Chief of Police and Executive Director for Security and Cybersecurity. Elizabeth Valdez, Executive Assistant to the Board of Trustees and Superintendent.
Here.
And I, Dr. John Moore, Superintendent of Schools, here. Staff members in the boardroom will practice social distancing as required, where there will be no more than 3 people in the boardroom as outlined. We will use masks, hand sanitizers, disinfectants, etc., as recommended. I will now turn this meeting over to Ramon Garza, Board President.
Ms. Valdez, are there any citizen participation items for this evening?
We have no citizen participation items today.
Ms. Valdez, are there any public comment items for this evening?
We have no public comment items today.
I will now turn the floor over to Anna Laura, Director of Early Head Start, who will present the Early Head Start Program Governance Training.
Hi, hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. I am Anna Lara, Director of Galena Park I.S.D. Becker Early Head Start. And today we're going to be talking a little bit about Early Head Start and what are your roles and responsibilities in regards to this program. So let's get started. Let me go ahead and share my screen. All right. Okay, so first let's start with Early Head Start.
Anna, we don't see the screen.
I'm not seeing your screen.
We don't see your
Give me
screen.
1 second. Let's see. Okay, can y'all see it now?
There we go. Yes, that's perfect.
So Early Head Start is a division of the Administration for Children and Families Office of Head Start. And these 2 documents that you see here are the Head Start Act and the Head Start Performance Standards. And they are the foundation on which programs design and deliver comprehensive, high-quality services to children and families. And I added the links on there if you guys want to look a little bit deeper into these documents. They are kind of lengthy, but I do encourage you to go in there and take a look. So what is Early Head Start? Well, Head Starts are federally funded programs, and they were set in motion back in 1965 as a 6-week pilot project. And it was a project designed to break the cycle of poverty by providing children of low-income families with a comprehensive program to meet their emotional, social, nutritional, health, and psychological needs. It was obviously a successful pilot program, so it transformed into an official government program. And Early Head Starts came on board. They were established in 1995, and just 4 years after that, Galena Park I.S.D. saw the benefits that a program like this would bring into the community. They applied for the grant, and this program has been in operation since 1999. So that's quite a long time. Here's some images of our program and the age group that we service. So it's infants and toddlers. And the middle image is kind of to represent how programs like this one incorporate parent engagement into most of its activities. So this one is, So Early Head Start services. So Early Head Start programs provide a list of services that promote young children's overall school readiness while also supporting parents to pursue their own goals. So while we're mostly known for the childcare piece of this program, we also offer nutrition services, supplies. So all the children that are enrolled in the program receive diapers, wipes, pull-ups. They receive the breakfast, lunch, snack meals, transportation services. Because of the population that we service, a lot of our families may not own a vehicle. So we do provide transportation through the Galena Park I.S.D. Transportation Department. And families who qualify for this program have access to all these services at no cost to them. So the next slide is how do you qualify? So you must be eligible, and eligibility is based on age, income, and address. So the child must be younger than 3 years of age because we only service infants and toddlers. You must meet the poverty guidelines, and you must reside within the Galena Park I.S.D. service zone. So when we have a slot available, we get ready to select. We go into our wait list, and we prioritize based on points. So we have a selection criteria established that awards points for different factors. So the higher the points, the higher the need. So when we get ready to select, we always look at the points and we select the children and the families with the highest of needs. Once the child is selected, EHS staff will contact the family and we will ask them to provide documentation that supports eligibility. So once the child is deemed eligible, then we go ahead and schedule an enrollment appointment. And that's how you qualify for this program. So here's more images of this program. It's children learning, exploring, socializing. On the top right, you see the Galena Park fire truck, and that kind of represents the community partnerships. And on the bottom left, that's the parent engagement representation. So that's actually a parent meeting last year. And the meeting topic was nutrition. So we had the former Galena Park I.S.D. nutritionist come out and present that topic to them. That's just kind of a little bit about our program. Now let's talk about budget. We apply for this grant every 5 years, and every year we must submit a continuation grant. And in addition to any supplemental grants available. So this year we did apply for the continuation grant. There was also a grant opportunity for cost of living assistance and quality improvement, which we applied for as well. And then there was also a COVID-19 one-time fund grant available, which we also applied. And on August 21st, we received notice that we were awarded for all three. So that was great news. So now let's talk about leadership and governance. So Head Start believes in inclusive leadership and shared decision making. Therefore, governance of this program is divided between you guys, Board of Trustees, Policy Council, and EHS Early Head Start management staff. So this is the wheel, the famous Head Start management wheel. And this kind of helps us visualize how leadership and governance fit into the overall picture. We see the different functions and systems that work together to inform and influence the program's service delivery. And our ultimate goal is the center of this wheel, which is producing quality child and family outcomes. So this diagram represents the Head Start leadership and governance structure, and it consists of the governing body, which is you guys, Board of Trustees. You guys exercise legal and fiscal oversight of this program. The Policy Council, which assumes responsibility for the program direction, and EHS management staff, which we assume operating responsibilities for the program's day-to-day functions. So composition of the systems. We have governing body, again, you guys, Board of Trustees. The Head Start Act does state that at least one person should have fiscal expertise or background, knowledge, education, and legal. And there are some exceptions. So if members oversee a public entity, or if members are selected by public election, which would be, I think, most of you guys. Policy Council, the majority must be parents. The rest will be community representatives. And then, of course, we will always have our board liaison officer, which serves as a connection between our program and you guys as the Board of Trustees. Management staff is Dr. Epps, is Ms. Ida as Chief Financial Officer, myself, and the Early Head Start management staff. So this slide, no pressure. But Head Start leadership is intentionally structured to seek the voices and perspectives of all three governing entities. But ultimately, you guys have legal and fiscal responsibilities for the program, including program compliance and effectiveness. Just a reminder, said no pressure. So some of the key responsibilities for you guys is reviewing and approving, and you will review and approve all funding applications, financial audits, operating budgets, self-assessment, results and follow-up activities from the federal monitoring review, and any changes to the selection criteria. And you guys also get information items from us on a monthly basis. It's the monthly information report, which let me see if it allows me to click on it. Earlier, it was giving me a little bit of trouble, but I want you to see it because this might be the most familiar item on here, just because you receive it on a monthly basis. Oh, I guess it's not gonna let me. Oh, there it goes. I hope it looks familiar because it comes your way every month. And on this report, we give you a little summary of our program for the month. So we let you know what our attendance percentage for the children were for that month, our enrollment status, home visit status, waitlist status, curriculum theme, continuing education, for our staff, any HI status, whether or not we have any vacancies for the month. And the very last page on this report gives you the expenditure report summary. So just kind of like where we were at as far as finances for the month of, in this case, the example that I used was for July. So Policy Council, they approve and submit to you guys any decisions regarding activities for parent engagement, program recruitment, selection and enrollment priorities, any funding applications. They also participate in the interviewing for any early Head Start staff, and they are the ones that make the recommendations for hire ultimately. And then it comes to, well, it goes to HR when it comes to hiring. So management staff, we implement policies, develop procedures, provide TNTA, training and technical assistance to you guys, which is what I'm doing now, and to the Policy Council Committee as well. We supervise staff, monitor compliance, and share reports with Policy Council and with you guys as the Board of Trustees. I added some additional links on here if you guys want to click on here for additional resources. The ECLIC webpage is our go-to for anything that has to do with Head Start or early Head Start. So if you guys want a little bit additional further details, you're more than welcome to browse this website. And that is the end of my workshop presentation. If you guys have any questions, this is the time. I know for the majority of you, this was probably just a refresher since there was very few new faces, but does anyone have any questions?
How many kids do we have at this time?
So we have, we're still fully enrolled. So we still have the 64, the 60 children, 4 pregnant women, but present for in-person services, we have 17. Although I can say that since August 17th that we opened, that number has grown. We started off with 9 kids. So 17 is already, we're seeing progress. They're slowly starting to trust our safety procedures and protocols that we have in place, and the parents are starting to let the kids come back to in-person services. So I do foresee that number growing in the next few weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Broussard, the others are serviced virtually.
Oh, thank you, thank you, Dr. Epps. Yes.
Ms. Lara, this program is strictly need-based, is that correct?
Correct, yes. You must meet our eligibility criteria, correct.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a question, but I do have a comment. I serve as part of the Policy Council, and I've visited there several times, and I am so impressed at everything that's going on. And Anna Laura, you are doing such an awesome job. Every month we get reports, we get budgets, we get all kinds of things that are happening there. And I want to congratulate you. You applied for, or the council or the group applied for all 3 grants and got all 3 of them. So that is fantastic.
Thank you, Ms. Norma. I appreciate your comments and your feedback. Thank you. It was great news. I said, this program is going to have a great year. despite COVID-19. Any other questions, guys, regarding the presentation of today, the workshop? All right, well, I hope I was able to provide you with some useful information. And our time is limited, but if you guys have any questions or want further clarification on things, please feel free to reach out to me and I will be glad and happy to address those. So thank you for your time and thank you for your ongoing support to this program.
Thank you.
Ms. Lara.
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, we'll turn the floor over to Elizabeth Layler, Deputy Superintendent for Education Support and School Administration, who will present the
Asynchronous.
Okay, instruction plan for 2020-2021 school year. Ms. Layler.
Okay, so you can see the screen, is that correct?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, good deal. So when the state of Texas realized that COVID was going to continue into the fall, they knew we were going to have a bunch of remote learners or kids that stay at home. And so they had to figure out how to fund us. So the state gave us two options on how to do remote learning. And so one of them is asynchronous and the other one is synchronous. So we are doing the asynchronous remote learning plan. So what in the world is that? It is for students whose parents want to keep them at home. And students can log into their platform, and for us, it's Google Classroom, any time of the day and complete the assignments. It does not have to be at a set time. Learning can be at a time convenient for students and parents. And if the kid is doing well, they never have to talk to their teacher. They can just log in, do their work. And so that's asynchronous. You'll later see the word synchronous, and sometimes we will have synchronous tutorials, and that means we're doing it simultaneously. So the teacher and the kids are on at the same time. So there was lots and lots and lots of requirements because, you know, TA is not going to give money freely. They want to make sure we do things. So they called, first of all, we had to submit a letter saying this was our intent, and the board will approve the plan, which is what we're doing later on this evening, hopefully. And we have to sign off on attestations, which I'll share with you. And then we had to do answers to TA's open-ended questions. We have to submit it by October 1st. If they don't like it, there's this feedback time back and forth, and everything's ready to go in January. So even though we're doing these things now with our remote learning, this plan really becomes official second semester. So attestations are what we agreed to do. So we agreed to have students have the opportunity for student interaction and instructional support. Remember, it's choice, but they have to have the opportunity to do that. Teachers have to have designated office hours to support the remote students. And this is in addition to their conference period that they normally have. Students have the opportunity to engage with academic material daily. We can't put stuff up on Monday for the whole week. It has to be new information daily. We have to follow special education students' individual education plans, and we have to have opportunities for face-to-face learners. So in addition to all this, any parent who wants their child to come face-to-face, we have to serve them also. We can't just say we want to do everybody remote. We have to have a minimum of 3 hours of instructional time for elementary and 4 hours of instructional time for secondary, that's 6th through 12th grade. We have to have TEKS aligned curriculum. So we can't just teach what we want. And we have to make sure it's supported for our SPED or in our English language learners. We have to ensure that our district adopted materials are in the hands of students. So if we require a calculator for the Algebra 1 class, I got to get a calculator to our students. We've sent artwork or art materials home for AP art students. So we've got to get the materials in their hand. We have to track engagement because that's how we're going to get paid. And we have to have feedback from the instructor at least weekly. So even if Mr. Broussard doesn't want his child to see me and participate, and he's doing the asynchronous, I have to give some type of feedback at least weekly. Student progress is planned in advance. In other words, we don't wing it. It's tied to a course and sequence, and the district will measure the academic progress of all students to inform instructional practice. Do we need to slow down, speed up, review material? And even more attestations. Grading policies have to be consistent with what was prior to COVID. So there were some questions. Can we just make them pass-fail students if they're at home? No. So they have to be in the same GPA, the same class rank. So we have kids who will be face-to-face with high school and kids who will be at home, and they're competing for the same GPA spots. The district has to provide professional development, specifically to remote instruction, and we have to provide explicit communication and support for our families. So that is a mouthful, and those are all things we had to promise we were going to do. The open-ended questions will tell us how we're going to do those things. Now, when Elizabeth sent y'all the PowerPoint last week, she should have also sent you a copy of the open-ended questions plans that I'm submitting to TEA. Okay, so some of this is in much more detail on this 21-page document that was sent. So the first set of questions is around the instructional schedule. So the first part of that 21-page document is I put on there what our pre-K 3 students will do, then pre-K 4 through 5th grade, and then secondary 6th through 12th grade, or 6th through 8th grade, and then 9th through 12th grade. So you'll see a schedule each day. And then we had to talk about the expectations of this daily interaction with our academic content. So it does have to meet that time requirement, and teachers can actually track and log how often Mr. Esparza was on the system. If he only came in for 5 minutes and then submitted everything, he probably was cheating, right? So we can track that time. They have to have an opportunity to engage in approximately a full day of academic content each day. So in middle school, I can't just say, well, all you're doing is reading today. We have to give them what their regular schedule would be. We have to be clear on the expectations of teacher-student interactions. So if you remember in the attestation, the law or the requirements was 1 time a week for feedback. We're going to require 2 times a week for feedback for all our remote students. And then we have to differentiate for students with additional learning needs. That's where we're going to be doing those synchronous tutorials. So I can set up one-on-one Google Meets meetings, or I can call on the phone and talk to them individually. The IEPs have to be followed. We can even offer face-to-face tutorials where they'll come up to school when not everybody's around, if that's something they're interested in. So that was around the instructional schedule. For instructional materials, we gave you a big chart of all the instructional materials we will use in the 4 core content areas for each grade level. We have to talk about how the materials will be adapted for asynchronous instruction, ensuring retention. So really that's making sure that they're getting kids have access to all of them at all times. So not just while I'm learning the material, but I can go back and use that. So all of that has been uploaded into their Google Classroom. And then additional supports for our students with disabilities and English language learners. Again, that's face-to-face tutorials, web tools. We have homebound services and manipulatives that we've mailed out to families. We also have a program that reads to our students. If I'm special ed or if I'm an English language learner, it will take any content we have in science, math, read it to the children so that they can hear it in English. Student progress is the big one. This is really the of attendance. So we had to have what the expectation for daily student engagement is, and they have to be on. We're going to make sure all assignments are up by 8 a.m. They have till 11:59 at night. If they don't do it, they're marked absent. So they have to show their engagement. We have to have a system for tracking engagement. So we have a Each teacher is keeping a spreadsheet, and it's very time consuming. Before, teachers only marked absences. So if I was a teacher with 22 kids and 2 kids were absent, all I did is go click in that Ramon and Noe were absent. Now I have to go click on how everybody is present. So not only is Norma present, but she's present because she was in my Google Meets. And Elizabeth was present because she turned in an assignment. So we have to be very specific of how they showed their student progress. And again, we have to have a system to provide regular feedback. So our school status, which communicates with our parents and students, has been awesome. We're over 750,000 contacts this school year. We also can give all those platforms like I.S.D. Parents can log in and see the progress of their child. And then again, we're going to do grades and 2 contacts per week from the teacher. Implementation is the last set of open-ended questions we have. We had to submit our professional learning calendar. We talked about how everything we did initially to get ready and then the ongoing support sessions throughout the year. So as we see there's an issue, what are we doing to change and adapt? We also need to make sure that we're not just working on their support for being on the computer, but also, especially our new teachers, their content knowledge. So merging the 2 together. We have to communicate expectations to families. So prior to school starting, every family received a copy of our remote learning expectations. We talked about family engagement and support and additional support for our families. Whew. So those were the set of questions that are in the open-ended questions. So student attendance, we talked a little bit about this last month. So kids get to count for attendance and we get money for them if they do any of these 5 things. If they participate in a face-to-face tutorial or face-to-face class or face-to-face practice. If they participate in the Google Meets, which is sort of like the Zoom meeting. If they turn in an assignment, if they complete work online. So if I'm working in Edgenuity, or if I'm working in one of the academic programs that we have, or last but not least, if we have an academic conversation. So again, I can't say, hey, John, how are you doing? And they go, oh, fine. And if they don't forget to get your work in, that's not really academic. But if I say, hey, I see that you were struggling, tell me why you're struggling, and I try to help him catch up, then that's an academic conversation and we would be able to count them in attendance. So this is easy for kids. They've got all these different ways they can be counted in attendance, but this is really time consuming and challenging for your teachers. So who will be remote learners? So all the parents selected their this instructional arrangement will be remote learners. And then any students who are absent for any reason. So if I picked for my child to be face-to-face, but then we need to go to Oklahoma for a funeral, if my child gets on and does the work, then my child's not absent. So I could have perfect attendance and really have absences throughout the year. Students who are excluded. So if our nurses exclude them because of being in close contact with somebody who has COVID or they themselves have COVID, then they would become a remote learner. And then students of a school, if we temporarily close a school for cleaning due to outbreak, then the whole school becomes remote. So as of this morning, we have 14,635 students who are remote learners. 6,855 that want to be face-to-face, and we expect 100% total success for both. That's a big challenge for the year, but we are working hard to do that. So I really like this quote from our Commissioner of Education: we cannot allow this public health crisis to become a generational education crisis. So that's why school districts were given the flexibility on educating kids as long as we had proof we were truly educating them. I think last spring we were teaching them how to be remote. This year we have to teach content. So we have 2 major challenges this year: is keeping schools safe and then re-engineering the school experience. This is new. So you might have seen on Facebook, everybody's a first-year teacher this year, and that would be true. It's a new experience, and so we've got to make sure it meets the needs of our students and parents. And kids can come back and forth between face-to-face and remote. So I could have been remote the first 6 weeks of school, then changed to face-to-face, then after 2 to 3 weeks decide I want to be remote. It can go back and forth all year long. So how are we doing these challenges? First of all, we did Chromebook distribution. We're moving to one-to-one, which means we want one Chromebook for every student. So 21,500 plus students, one Chromebook. We hope to have that all by November. We have already issued them to all high school students, period, or that it was allowed if they came to pick it up. We had one for every high school student. And then we have one for every middle school and elementary student who indicated there was not a computer at home. So they did not have access. We ensured all SPED students had one, and then any special requests. We've had some parents say, oh, I filled that form out wrong. Well, we're getting them a Chromebook.
So Layla, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I have a question.
No, please.
So what happens to those students that don't pick up a computer? What are we doing for that? Or are we doing anything for that?
Well, we are doing it. So some of them who did not pick them up initially, they're now coming to the schools and picking them up. So we're still having them available. Again, a lot of parents we found completed that form wrong. So some of them did have a computer or a Chromebook or a laptop or something at home, an iPad at home, so they're able to do the work. But the kids who did not participate in their work last week, the teachers are reaching out to them, talking to them, and if the technology is the issue, we're getting them the book.
Thank you.
Again, we talked earlier about, did that answer your question? I'm sorry, Mr. Esparza, before I go on.
It did, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So our teachers have to have a remote learning office hour in addition to their conference period so that they can teach. They're doing 2 jobs in one day. They'll be teaching the kids who are face-to-face plus teaching the kids who are at home. So they've got to be able to have that extra time. We have been doing something for a couple of years called Class Linked, and it's really makes this much easier for our parents and especially our elementary kids. It's a single sign-on. So when they sign on to their Class Link through Galena Park I.S.D, all their apps, their learning apps come up on their computer. So just like when you sign on to your computer, you see your Word and Excel and any saved documents, all their stuff is up front, so they don't have to try to remember a password for each one. They're able to see all their platforms right at the beginning. So other things we've done to try to make this an easy transition is we, of course, have stepped up our cleaning. We want our teachers, parents, and students to feel safe about that. We have PPE for our students and staff. We have bought instructional supplies. So, you know, that school supply list that seems endless at the beginning of the year. We just said parents need to provide pens, pencils, and paper. We provide everything else. So we got it out to the classrooms. It's ready for when we go face to face, but we did not want our parents worrying about spending money and figuring out how to buy supplies for the classroom. And then lots of planning. And so this picture of the Zoom meeting at the bottom is teachers planning together, prepping for this. It is so time consuming, we're encouraging them to team up. So I may do a video on one type of lesson and Michelle may do a video on another type of lesson, and we share for each other. We also have these wonderful 3-way little protectors that you see in that top left-hand corner. That's actually a picture of one of our pre-K students, and pre-K students don't have to wear masks. It's 1st grade through 12th grade. So you can see she's working on some Play-Doh and manipulatives with her 2-hour tutorial and keeping behind her 3-way program. We also have bought these wonderful lunch carts you see in the next picture, and students can come and get their food, but it makes it easier so everyone doesn't have to go to the cafeteria for breakfast or lunch. So these carts can go into the hallway and it makes it quicker. And then we're also using our school buses to provide hotspots to our neighborhoods. and to deliver food. So they deliver food on Tuesday and Thursday evenings, and then during the day, all 5 days a week, we have hotspots in all the different neighborhoods so that if parents don't have internet or they're having trouble, sometimes they have it, but they're having trouble, they can go get on the bus with their mask, with their child, and their child can log on and do their work. All right, that was a load of information. Any questions?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Do we have, and you may have talked about this, but do we have support staff in place for those students or parents who get these Chromebooks and they just simply don't know how to operate them? Where we have staff that will maybe go to their homes and support them?
We could if we needed to go that far. So one of the things we did is when they filled out the little form that says, yes, I need the Chromebook, they agreed to go to this online little training that shows them how to use that. But we have what's called technology hotlines that are available every day I can't get my internet to connect, and it can walk through step by step. I'm having trouble accessing this platform, or I need to be able to get into this dual credit format from my class. So we walk through the steps. We also have now technology lockers. So let's say they did have their Chromebook, it was working, but now their power cord, for some reason, is not working. They can contact the hotline. We can say, go to locker B2, here's the code, and there will be another power cord in there for you. Even if the parent says, I don't get off work till 11 o'clock at night, they can go by and pick that up.
Thank you.
I would assume if none of that worked, we could go out to their house.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any more questions for Ms. Layler?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
So, the bus goes to certain areas, and the parents, do they all have the schedule of where the bus goes and the time?
Yes, ma'am. The schedule's been put out, and it goes to all the different neighborhoods, and the kid, if they're old enough, or the kid and the parent, if they're a youngling, can get on the bus, and then they would be able to get on the Galena Park I.S.D. internet and be able to do their work.
And how is that going? Have you seen parents?
It just started at the end of last week, but we've received some positive response, the appreciation of us doing it. And I have seen the buses out in the neighborhood. So if you're driving around and you see a parked bus at a Kroger or something, that's why.
Okay. Yes, I have.
They're really working.
Yeah.
Anything else? Okay, so it was a lot, and there was a big team that worked on this, so I want to publicly thank the team that helped us put together this plan. And as you review the PowerPoint or the 21-page short answer plan, if you have questions, feel free to email me, and I'll be glad to answer the questions for you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Layler. There being no other business before the board at this time, the meeting is adjourned. The time is 6:08 p.m. School District is now convening a regular meeting on Monday, September 14, 2020 via video conference. The time is 6:08 p.m. I want to welcome the viewers to the meeting of the Board of Trustees. As the Galena Park I.S.D. Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals, listen to reports from the superintendent, approve budget, contracts, personnel appointments, and make policies for the district. It is not the role to make day-to-day operational decisions. The management and day-to-day operation of the district are the responsibility of the superintendent. We have policies and procedures in place to resolve concerns and issues. This is a public meeting of the Board of Trustees, not a meeting of the public. Prior to the meeting, board members receive information related to items on today's agenda. Agenda items will not necessarily be handled in the order listed on the notice. The meeting is open to all who wish to hear the matters discussed. Thank you for taking the time to join us today and for your interest in Galena Park Independent School District.
At this time, I will call roll. When your name is called, please answer with here or present. Ramon Garza, President.
Present.
Jeff Miller, Vice President. Adrian Stevens, Secretary. Trustees, Wilford J. Broussard Jr.
Present.
Wanda Heath Johnson. Noe Esparza.
Present.
Norma Hernandez.
Here.
Also joining us through video conference and will respond with here or present are Sharonda Johnson, Executive Director for School and Community Relations.
Here.
Brishan Thompson, Coordinator for School and Community Relations. Anna Salinas, Administrative Assistant to the Superintendent's Office.
Here.
And Cabinet Members Sonia George,
Here.
Dr. Juana Giacona,
Here.
Elizabeth Layler,
Here.
Terry Moore, Dr. Michelle Epps,
Here.
Dina Edgar,
Here.
Dr. David Harris,
Present.
Mike McKay,
Here.
and Holly Malloy.
Here.
The following participants will be located in the boardroom at 14705 Wood Forest Boulevard, Houston, Texas 77015. Please answer with here or present when your name is called. Brian Clemens, Chief of Police and Executive Director for Security and Cybersecurity.
Here.
Elizabeth Valdez, Executive Assistant to the Board of Trustees and Superintendent.
Here.
And I, Dr. John Moore, Superintendent of Schools, here. Staff members in the boardroom will practice social distancing as required, where there will be no more than 3 people in the boardroom as outlined. We will use masks, hand sanitizers, disinfectants, etc., as recommended. I will now turn this meeting over to Ramon Garza, Board President.
Ms. Valdez, are there any citizen participation items for this evening?
We have no citizen participation items today.
Ms. Valdez, are there any public comment items for this evening?
We have no public comment items today.
Today's invocation will be presented by Wilford Broussard, and the pledges to the American and Texas flag will be led by Noe Esparza. Mr. Broussard.
Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come before you today, thanking you for blessing us to gather in this format. We give you all the praises and honor for being an omnipotent, merciful, and loving God. We thank you for loving us so much that you found us worthy of redemption through the blood, death, and resurrection of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Please bless the meeting so decisions made here today will fall on good ground and will match the plans that you have for your people of Galena Park I.S.D. May your favor be on every decision we make today. We pray for blessings upon this land. Heal this land from all pandemics, evil principalities that come to seek, destroy, or divide us from each other, but more importantly, seeks to separate us from you. We pledge today to always seek a closer walk in relationship with you, and may your will always be done in us. We pray and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Join me in the pledges, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
We will now move on to this evening's special recognition portion of the agenda. Dr. Moore.
This evening, we have some special recognitions. I'd like to congratulate everybody being recognized tonight. At this time, I will turn the floor over to Sharonda Johnson, Executive Director for School and Community Relations.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. Tonight, Galena Park I.S.D. will recognize 2 deserving business partners. Mr. Gil Hoffman, publisher of the North Channel Star, a weekly newspaper serving the North Shore region of Texas. Mr. Hoffman was named to the 2020 Media Honor Roll by Galena Park I.S.D. This program is sponsored by the Texas Association of School Boards, TASB. The Media Honor Roll recognizes media representatives statewide for fair and balanced reporting of news about public schools. Congratulations, Mr. Hoffman. Next, we will recognize Mr. Alan Jamel, volunteer photojournalist for the North Channel Star, a weekly newspaper serving the North Shore region of Texas. Mr. Jamel was also named to the 2020 Media Honor Roll by Galena Park I.S.D. for his commitment to providing fair and balanced reporting of news in GPISD. When Mr. Jamel submitted his photo for tonight's recognition, he shared the following. I am a proud member of the community, a GPISD graduate, and I enjoy donating my time and talents to cover events for the school district. Thank you, Mr. Jamel, and congratulations. Now we will recognize 3 outstanding employees. Rachel Henshaw is being recognized for her promotion to the position of Galena Park ISD's Director for Information Systems. Ms. Henshaw most recently served as Digital Learning and Assessment Specialist at Jacinto City Elementary School. She has 10 years of experience in education. Congratulations, Ms. Henshaw. Please join us in congratulating Mr. Guadalupe Lupe Macias as GPISD's new Director of Technology Services. Mr. Macias most recently served as Senior Network Manager. He has 24 years of experience in education. Congratulations, Mr. Macias. Lastly, please help me congratulate Ms. Michelle Young, GPISD's new Director for Instructional Learning. Ms. Young most recently served as Program Director for Instructional Learning. She has 26 years of experience in education. Congratulations, Ms. Young.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. This concludes our recognitions for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Johnson. Any board member may make a comment during this portion of the agenda without prior posting being required. Comment items may not pertain to the character of any students, staff, or board members and may not be discussed or deliberated upon this time. Does anyone have a comment at this time? Okay. Harold Sonny Fletcher, Senior Director of Facilities Planning and Construction, will now provide a 2016 bond program construction update.
Thank you, President Garza, Board, Superintendent Dr. Moore, and Cabinet. Very excited. This summer, we just moved in at Jacinto City Elementary School. Of course, the picture on the left is the front desk and the waiting area. And then the picture on the right would be the parking lot, the front visitor parking lot, if you will, and the parent loop. You'll see we have 3 lanes there, so we can do some double stacking, try and help the traffic there in Jacinto City, and obviously get traffic on the site and get it off the road. I'm very excited how that project's proceeding. And then, of course, Galena Park High School, working on our addition. The exciting picture on the left is the underground detention pond. Rather than, as tight as we are on the site there, rather than put it above ground, it's underground. And then the picture on the right, the building slab is ready, and they are, you'll see them doing some excavation for some water line to be installed. Zotes, we're replacing the roof. Again, a very exciting picture there on the left with the new white roof. And then setting for plumbing fixtures, that would be a water closet there on the left and a sink there on the right, I believe. More exciting pictures, North Shore 9th grade locker rooms. Here, obviously excavating for plumbing, new plumbing to go in. Very excited to be updating. Might be a good way to explain those renovations there at the locker rooms. And then North Shore Senior High, there we created, you can see on the picture on the left, the security vestibule. Still needs some touch up, the trim work to be complete this week. And then the picture on the left is a new reception desk and a security door. Just in front of the handle, you may see the proximity card reader, like we have at our other campuses. Give the reception desk plenty of time and control to evaluate people as they approach, and gives more security there to the front area. Again, on this theme of security vestibules, here we're at Purple Sage Elementary. Wasn't room up in the campus to add a security vestibule, so here we had to bring that out front. Here you see new gates controls, and the same thing, there's a prox reader, and that controls the gate there. Actually happens to be the one on the left in that picture. And then still our wrong direction. And then our projects in design, working through our challenges there at Pyburn Elementary School, and then Galena Park High School, additions and renovations. As I wrote this slide, it occurred to me we did have a phase 2, 3, and then the way that works out, there is likely a phase 4 there of our construction projects. Any questions?
Sonny, that detention pond at Galena Park High School, that's across the street, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Good question, President Garza.
Over there by the bayou.
Yes.
And what does that serve? I mean, what's a retention pond? I'm not quite understanding.
Okay. Another good question. When you build additional impervious area, and impervious means, rainwater when it falls can go into the grass and percolate down into the ground and replenish the aquifer. When you build a roof, you stop that process over that area for the roof. So you need to detain the water, slow it down so it leaves the site at the same rate it would have when the rain landed on the grass, if you will. So you have to store some storm water for a brief period of time, and then it's several hours, and then it slowly leaves the site.
How deep is the retention pond?
It's I'd say about 7 feet deep. By the time you've got the ground cover and then the new pavement, and then of course it percolates, so it's got some gravel and lots of filter fabric to control that whole process.
Yeah.
Sonny, are all the projects on time? Are we still on track?
We're still on track. Things are going really well. A lot of challenges with COVID-19. Just having issues with staffing and materials on all our projects. And then sometimes when materials show up, we're finding the wrong closer arm on that door closer was installed. And we're just all having to work through those challenges and a little bit of patience with each other. But yes.
Looking forward to seeing JCE.
I'm sorry?
I said I'm looking forward to seeing JCE.
Yes. Just wonderful folks over there.
Any more questions for Sonny? Thank you, Mr. Fletcher.
Thank you.
I will entertain a motion to approve the second amendment order of election reflecting updated voting times and location and calling for an election to be held on the 3rd day of November 2020 in accordance with the laws and constitutions of the state as presented.
I will. Go ahead.
Okay. I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the second amended order of election as presented.
I, Wilfred Broussard, second the motion.
If the motion passes, I, Ramon Garza, authorize GPISD to utilize my electronic signature for this item. Elizabeth, who are we going to, since Ms. Stevens is not?
Mr. Miller's not on here either. Would one of the other board members, Mr. Broussard, do you authorize the use of your electronic signature?
I, Wilfred Broussard, do authorize the use of electronic signature as well.
Thank you.
A motion was made by Norma and second by Wilfred. As I call your name, please state your name and indicate your vote stating in favor. Wilfred Broussard.
In favor. Wilfred Broussard in favor.
Noe Esparza.
Noe Esparza in favor.
Norma Hernandez.
Norma Hernandez in favor.
I, Ramon Garza, am in favor. The motion carries 4-0 with no abstentions. I will entertain to a motion to approve the resolution designating Election Day, November 3rd, 2020 as a staff development day for the purpose of utilizing various GPISD campus as voting locations while protecting the safety of students as presented.
I, Noe Esparza, move we approve the resolution designating Election Day, November 3rd, 2020 as Staff Development Day as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, second the motion.
If the motion passes, I, Ramon Garza, authorize GPISD to utilize my electronic signature for this item. Mr. Broussard, do you authorize the use of electronic signature as well?
I, Wilfred Broussard, do authorize the use of your electronic signature as well.
A motion was made by Noe Esparza and second by Norma. As I call your name, please state the name and indicate your vote, stating in favor, oppose, or abstain. Wilfred Broussard.
Wilfred Broussard in favor.
Noe Esparza.
Noe Esparza in favor.
Norma Hernandez.
Norma Hernandez in favor.
I, Ramon Garza, am in favor. A motion carried 4-0 with no abstentions. I will entertain a motion to approve a facilities allocation fee in the amount of $5,000 per year effective September 1, 2020, as required by the Memorandum of Understanding dated December 12, 2011 with GPISD Education Foundation, Inc. as presented.
I, Wilfred Broussard, move we approve the facility allocation fee as presented.
I, Noe Esparza, second the motion.
A motion was made by Wilfred Broussard and second by Noe. As I call your name, please state your name and indicate your vote by stating in favor, oppose, or abstain. Wilfred Broussard.
Wilfred Broussard in favor.
Noe Esparza.
Noe Esparza in favor.
Norma Hernandez.
Norma Hernandez in favor.
And I, Ramon Garza, am in favor. The motion carries 4-0 with no abstentions. I will entertain a motion to approve the renewal proposal from Texas Political Subdivision Joint Self-Insurance Fund, TPS, to provide workers' compensation insurance for the coverage terms of October 1, 2020 through October 1, 2021 for the annual premium of $1.34902 million as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the facilities allocation fee as presented.
I, Noe Esparza, second the motion.
As I call your name, please state your name and indicate your vote by stating in favor, oppose, or abstain. Wilfred Broussard.
I, Wilfred Broussard, in favor.
Noe Esparza.
Noe Esparza in favor.
Norma Hernandez.
Norma Hernandez in favor.
I, Ramon Garza, am in favor. The motion carried 4-0. 4-0. I will entertain a motion to approve the board resolution authorizing to pay GPISD employees for days missed as a result of closure of schools due to inclement weather beginning Wednesday, August 26, 2020 through Friday, August 28, 2020. Furthermore, authorize the superintendent to pay additional compensation to employees in accordance with the resolution and board policy DEA local as presented.
I, Wilfred Broussard, move we approve the board resolution authorizing to pay Galena Park I.S.D. employees for days missed as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, second the motion.
As I call your name, please state your name and indicate your vote by stating in favor, oppose, or abstain.
Mr. Garza,
Uh-huh.
do you authorize your
If
use?
the motion passes, I, Ramon Garza, authorize GPISD to utilize my electronic signature for the item. Mr. Broussard, do you authorize the use of electronic signature as well?
I, Wilfred Broussard, do authorize the use of your electronic signature as well.
A motion was made by Wilfred and second by Norma. As I call your name, please state your name and indicate your vote, stating in favor, oppose, or abstain. Wilfred Broussard.
Wilfred Broussard in favor.
Noe Esparza.
Noe Esparza in favor.
Norma Hernandez.
Norma Hernandez in favor.
I, Ramon Garza, am in favor. The motion carried 4-0 with no abstentions. I will entertain a motion to approve naming Ramon Garza as the delegate and Noe Esparza as the alternate to the 2020 TASB Delegate Assembly to be held October 3rd, 2020 as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the 2020 TASB delegate and alternate as presented.
I, Wilfred Broussard, second the motion.
If the motion passes, I, Ramon Garza, authorize GPISD to utilize my electronic signature for this item. Mr. Broussard, do you authorize the use of electronic signature as well?
I, Wilfred Broussard, do authorize the use of your electronic signature as well.
A motion was made by Norma Hernandez and second by Wilford. As I call your name, please state your name and indicate your vote by stating in favor, oppose, or abstain. Wilford Broussard.
Wilfred Broussard in favor.
Noe Esparza.
Noe Esparza in favor.
Norma Hernandez.
Norma Hernandez in favor.
And I, Ramon Garza, am in favor. The motion carried 4-0 with no abstention. With respect to the general consent agenda, do we want to remove any items for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I, Noe Esparza, move we approve the general consent agenda as presented.
I, Wilfred Broussard, second the motion.
The motion passes. I, Ramon Garza, authorize GPISD to utilize my electronic signature for this item. Mr. Broussard, do you authorize the use of electronic signature as well?
I, Wilfred Broussard, do authorize the use of your electronic signature as well.
A motion was made by Noe Esparza and second by Wilfred Broussard. As I call your name, please state your name and indicate your vote by stating in favor, oppose, or abstain. Wilfred Broussard.
In favor. Wilfred Broussard in favor.
Noe Esparza.
Noe Esparza in favor.
Norma Hernandez.
Norma Hernandez in favor.
I, Ramon Garza, am in favor. The motion carried 4-0 with no abstentions. With respect to the final financial consent agenda, do we want to remove any items for a separate vote or take the agenda as is?
I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve the financial consent agenda as presented.
I, Noe Esparza, second the motion.
If the motion passes, I, Ramon Garza, authorize GPISD to utilize my electronic signature for this item. Mr. Broussard, do you authorize the use of electronic signature as well?
I, Wilfred Broussard, do authorize the use of your electronic signature as well.
A motion was made by Norma Hernandez and second by Noe Esparza. As I call your name, please state your name and indicate your vote by stating in favor, oppose, or abstain. Wilfred Broussard.
Wilfred Broussard in favor.
Noe Esparza.
Noe Esparza in favor.
Norma Hernandez.
Norma Hernandez in favor.
I, Ramon Garza, am in favor. The motion's carried 4-0 with 0 abstentions. Information. Sonia.
Mr. Garza, just a second, please. I'm sorry. On the item D for the Texas Political Subdivision, Ms. Hernandez, can you please repeat making the motion and say we approve for workers' compensation insurance, please? Just I, Norma Hernandez, move we approve a workers' Texas Political Subdivision Joint Self-Insurance Fund.
I, Norma Hernandez,
It was a typo, Ms. Hernandez. Just I, Norma Hernandez.
I, Norma Hernandez.
Move we approve.
Move we approve.
A Texas Political Subdivisions Joint Self-Insurance Fund.
A Texas Subdivision
Joint Self-Insurance Fund.
Joint Self-Insurance Fund.
I'm sorry. As presented.
As presented.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Sorry about that. Okay, Mr. Garza.
Sonia George, Deputy Superintendent for Operational Support, Chief Financial Officer, presented 1, the quarterly investment report for the period of March 1, 2020 through March 31st, 2020. 2, the comparative tax collection report for the period of September 1 through July 31st for the fiscal years 2018 through 2019 and 2019 to 2020. Third, 2016 bond program financial report as of July 31st, 2020. Elizabeth Lader, Deputy Superintendent for Educational Support and School Administration, presented 1, the scoreboard advertisement report, and 2, the Early Head Start Up update and Fund 205 expenditure report summary. An executive session of the board would now be held on the matters contained in the notice of the meeting as authorized by sections 551.001 through sections 551.084 of the Texas Government Code, the Texas Opens Meeting Act. The time is 6:35 p.m. Staff, with the exception of Dr. Moore, Ms. Valdez, Ms. Salinas, are dismissed from the boardroom at this time. All other staff joining us via video conference will be placed on a Zoom waiting room. Staff who are live streaming the meeting, please stop the live stream video. Executive session is adjourned. The live streaming has begun again, and the board is now in open session. The time is 6:46 p.m. I will entertain a motion on the items covered in executive session. Is there a motion to approve the employment of contractual personnel as presented?
I, Noe Esparza, move we approve the employment of contractual personnel as presented.
I, Norma Hernandez, second the motion.
A motion was made by Noe Esparza and second by Norma Hernandez. As I call your name, please state your name and indicate your vote by stating in favor, oppose, or abstain. Wilford Broussard.
Wilford Broussard in favor.
Noe Esparza.
Noe Esparza in favor.
Norma Hernandez.
Norma Hernandez in favor.
I, Ramon Garza, am in favor. The motion carries 4-0 with no abstention. There being no other business before the board at this time, the meeting is adjourned. The time is 6:47.